When you go to their website, it tells you who the royal family members are who are working to support the king. The members of the royal family work together to support the king in his official duties.
It's unbelievable how she created this whole racial firestorm for the royal family.
So the nuke just dropped. And let me tell you, Harry and Meghan are absolutely losing their minds right now. The British monarchy just pulled the most savage move in royal history, and they did it so quietly that most people didn't even notice. As of October 1st, 2025, the royal family website has been completely scrubbed of all the detailed information about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. We're talking about a total digital elimination here. Everything, and I mean everything, their educational backgrounds, their achievements, their whole carefully crafted backstories. It's all gone.
They removed information about Meghan Markle and Harry.
Here's what's got the Sussex camp in full panic mode. Up until last year, Meghan's royal bio was this elaborate fairy tale about being this brilliant scholar who double majored in theater and international relations at Northwestern University. They had her whole Argentina embassy internship story, her language skills, her prestigious education, the whole manufactured princess package. But now, crickets. All that's left is this pathetic little paragraph that basically says, prior to her marriage, the Duchess worked as an actress, appearing in film and television, most notably playing Rachel Zane on Suits. That's it. 7 seasons of a cable TV show. That's apparently all Meghan Markle amounts to in the eyes of the crown. And here's the really telling part. When you click on Princess Catherine's biography, you get everything. Her entire educational background, her charity work, her family history. Same thing with Sophie, Countess of Wessex. But Harry and Meghan, they've been reduced to footnotes. The palace isn't stupid. They know that people like Paula and investigative journalists have been fact-checking these claims. And guess what they found? The emails are rolling in from universities, from high schools, and they're all saying the same thing. These stories don't add up.
Meghan Markle keeps saying all these comments, these not even comments, statements, and she puts them out there as statement of fact that, oh, I went on grad night. This is another invention in her head.
Northwestern University confirmed Meghan never returned for her final semester. Immaculate Heart High School said there was no grad night to Disneyland in 1999. The Argentina internship happened during the country's most violent period when embassy staff couldn't even leave the building.
Meghan Markle has claimed that she went on an internship to Argentina in 2002, in August 2002. Which is a lie. It was not an internship.
So what does the royal family do when they realize they've been promoting lies for years? They quietly delete the evidence and hope nobody remembers. But the internet remembers everything, and Harry and Meghan are about to find out just how devastating the truth can be when it finally comes out. The expose has officially begun. Now, let's dive into exactly why the palace hit the panic button and started scrubbing these profiles. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to blow your mind. Remember that dual degree in theater and international relations? You know, the one that Meghan always bragged about? Well, Northwestern University doesn't even offer an international relations major. They never have. Meghan keeps saying international relations in interviews, but the university told sources that students graduate from the School of Communications, not some made-up international studies program.
Markle went on to Northwestern University, where she continued her love of drama. She double majored in theater and international studies.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I studied international relations and theater.
She's that stupid. She doesn't verify her stories or checks to see what was happening in the country around that time.
But wait, it gets worse. The university confirmed that Meghan Markle never showed up for her final semester in 2003. That's why she's missing from all the yearbook photos for the graduating class. So, did she even graduate? Because if you don't complete your final semester, how exactly do you get a degree? And that infamous Argentina embassy internship that she's been milking for years? Pure fiction. Here's what really happened. In August 2002, Argentina was in the middle of what they called the dirty unrest. The country was under red alert status. 36 people had died in riots just months earlier, 7 of them children. Embassy staff weren't allowed to roam freely or go sightseeing. But according to Meghan's fantasy stories, she was out there dancing and touring around Buenos Aires like she was on some luxury vacation. The country was in chaos. Nobody was touring anywhere. And the real tea? After an internship, you're required to return directly to university. Instead, Meghan flew to Spain and spent 3 months there, which would have gotten her or her uncle in serious trouble if this had been a legitimate program.
And that has been confirmed. Also, the way that internship is structured is that she would have had to go back to university. You cannot go anywhere else. After you finish your internship, you go back to university for at least 4 months, which she didn't do. Because she flew from Argentina, she went straight to Spain, which again, the press doesn't talk very much about.
Now let's talk about Prince Harry's academic fraud at Eton College. This is the scandal that should have destroyed his military career before it started. Harry didn't meet the minimum grades to get into Sandhurst Military Academy. So what happened? A teacher helped him cheat on his Art A levels by literally writing his essays for him. When that teacher got fired for helping Harry commit fraud, she threatened to sue Eton College. Why? Because she was being scapegoated for something the royal family allegedly orchestrated. The school quickly compensated her to keep quiet, but the damage was done. Harry should never have been allowed into Sandhurst, but royal privilege made sure the rules didn't apply. And that pathetic Disneyland grad night story that Meghan just trotted out again? Immaculate Heart High School confirmed there was no group grad night event in 1999 because they didn't have enough people to get group rates. If anyone went to Disneyland, they went on their own. So here's the pattern: lies about education, fake internships, cheating scandals, and fabricated high school memories. The royal family promoted these fraudsters for years, and now that the truth is coming out, they're desperately trying to erase the evidence. But you can't delete the internet, and you can't silence the people who have the receipts. But if you think the website scrubbing is bad, wait until you hear what Britain's most feared royal biographer just revealed about Harry and Meghan's complete professional collapse.
Revenge is a forensic assessment of Meghan's character and her ruthless ambition, cementing Bauer's reputation as one of today's leading investigative biographers.
Tom Bauer, the man who wrote Revenge, the book that destroyed Meghan's reputation back in 2022, just dropped some nukes about where the Sussex brand stands today. And it's even worse than we thought.
I predicted it in the book, but even I would not have thought it would be that accelerated. I think personally, they've separated their professional lives, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
The Netflix series is over. There are no podcast deals. They're not generating any real money. Meghan, according to Bauer, has got no real income anymore. She's finished. And here's how we know that they're desperate. Remember that Kevin Costner charity event for emergency workers? Last year, Meghan skipped it because she thought appearing there would make her look cheap. She was too busy promoting her Netflix series and didn't want to be seen doing anything for free. But this year, she showed up with bells on, wearing $300,000 worth of jewelry, including Diana's Cartier watch.
This year, she is desperate to be seen.
Yeah.
And that's why she turned up. So I think she has a major problem.
That's the level of financial panic we're talking about here. Harry's not doing much better. He lost his charity Centibel in Africa. His commercial deals are declining. And even Invictus Games, his supposed lifeline, is losing important personnel. And according to Bauer, Harry's reputation is somewhat toxic. But here's the exclusive revelation that's going to make your jaw drop. Tom Bauer just confirmed something that's been rumored for months. During the filming of their Netflix series, Harry actually begged Earl Spencer to let them change their family name from Mountbatten Windsor to Spencer. Think about that for a second. Harry hated his royal name so much that he wanted to steal his dead mother's family name instead. Why? Because Meghan couldn't stand being called Mountbatten Windsor. She thought it wasn't the right name for their children at school. Earl Spencer's response? A brutal rejection. No, under no circumstances. And he told them to their faces. And here's why Spencer probably knew the marriage wouldn't last forever and didn't want his family name associated with Meghan in the event of a divorce. But there's a deeper game happening here.
In Meghan's mind, she is Diana.
Yes.
I mean, Diana Spencer is Meghan Spencer. And that was all part of her imagination that somehow she could inherit the glow of her dead mother-in-law.
Can you imagine the audacity? She wanted to literally take Diana's name so she could continue playing Diana 2.0, even after a potential divorce. The royal sparkle would have stayed intact through the Spencer connection. And speaking of delusions, let's talk about that infamous 2018 Australia tour that convinced Harry and Meghan they were bigger than William and Catherine. While the public saw them getting cheered, behind the scenes, Meghan was having meltdowns and reportedly hated every second of the royal tour. Fast forward to 2025, and their popularity in Australia is at an all-time low. They're among the least popular members of the royal family, and they haven't been back since. Why? Because they burned every bridge thinking they could go solo.
What Meghan never really understood, probably not even now, is that when she was cheered as a working royal, it wasn't because she was Meghan Markle, it was because she represented British royalty.
The crowds were cheering the monarchy, not the person. And now that they've trashed the royal family, nobody's cheering anymore. Now let's talk about just how broke Harry and Meghan really are, because what Tom Bauer revealed about their financial situation is absolutely shocking. Their whole Archewell charity operation, it's a complete fraud. Bauer dropped this nuke saying that Archewell is not a charity. It's a commercial organization. They give very little money away for charity because they haven't got much money in the pot. While Jeff Bezos gives away hundreds of millions, Harry and Meghan are giving away a few thousand. And that number is shrinking. But here's where it gets really desperate. Remember when Harry was in London last week doing his charity appearances? He had to pay $2 million to charities just to get some positive press coverage. Tom Bauer's brutal assessment? $2 million. And he doesn't think Harry's got much left for that year's savings. They're literally buying good publicity because their reputation is so toxic that charities won't even associate with them for free anymore. And then there's the humiliating pivot into influencer territory. That Disney special they just promoted?
Absolutely. I mean, the moment they went there and allowed themselves to be photographed, and I thought, well, how much are they being paid for this? And quite clearly, they're being paid to promote it this week too.
From royalty to paid Disney spokespersons, that's the trajectory we're witnessing.
You know, it's Disney today and some sort of butter spread tomorrow. I mean, that's the trajectory they're on. But they're going to have to earn some money.
That's not royal patronage, that's desperation marketing. They've gone from representing the crown to hawking theme park tickets like low-tier influencers. But the real tea is in how Meghan operates when the money pressure gets intense. Multiple sources have confirmed her 5 a.m. email spirals when projects don't go perfectly. Remember that Montreal fashion shoot where the entire crew ended up hating her by the end? That's become her signature move. She spirals, reaching out to anyone that can try to fix the situation. Industry insiders revealed. When Meghan's perfectionist control freak behavior meets financial pressure, she becomes impossible to work with. That's why Netflix had to bring in a completely new team after she fired the original producers of their series. They only travel now where it's completely free, and that's why they haven't been back to Australia despite supposedly loving it there. The cost of going to Australia is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And for what? What are they selling? The answer is nothing. Meghan was selling her cereals and jams during those international trips, but that brand has taken such a massive hit that there's no commercial value left.
She is facing a crisis. What does she now do? She's fired her biggest shots, the best shots, and they're duds. And Harry has nothing to sell either. In fact,
Harry's in an even worse position because he hates selling and he just wants to be a charity worker, which is pretty limited when you need to pay for a $14 million Montecito mansion. The brutal reality? They have a major identity crisis that will be resolved in the next few months one way or another, and Bauer doesn't think it can possibly be to the good. They're broke, desperate, and rapidly running out of options. Now let's dive into the agenda that Meghan's been running for years, because Tom Bauer's revelations expose a pattern of manipulation that goes way deeper than anyone realized. The victimhood strategy that once made them millions, it's completely backfired.
I mean, no one is going to listen anymore to them bleating about being racist and being victims of racism and all the rest of it. They've played that out. I think now they're at a threshold.
They play that card so many times that even their supporters have tuned out. But here's the real deal about how Meghan operates when she doesn't get her way. Remember that Oprah interview that supposedly showed her vulnerability? 17 proven lies were identified by fact checkers afterward. From claiming they weren't really married at St. George's Chapel, to that ridiculous story about Archie's skin color affecting his police protection. It was all fabricated drama. The pattern is always the same. When Meghan needs sympathy, she turns on the waterworks. "No one asked if I'm okay," she sobbed to Tom Bradby. The tears with Oprah, the emotional New York Times piece about her miscarriage. But once people started fact-checking her stories, the credibility completely collapsed. Bauer explained that she has realized vulnerability won't score for her anymore. That's why she stopped doing those tearful TV interviews. She knows people see right through the act now. But the manipulation goes way deeper than fake tears. Take what happened to Sam Kashner, the Vanity Fair journalist who wrote that famous Wild About Harry piece. After Tom Bauer's book quoted Kashner describing Meghan as manipulative, guess what happened? Kashner suddenly went berserk and claimed he never spoke to Bauer, even though Bauer had read him everything before publication. Why did Kashner flip? Because apparently he was under pressure from Meghan. Bauer claimed that when she puts on pressure with all her lawyers and all the rest of it, it's a terrifying machine. They call it the Sussex machine, and it destroys anyone who dares to tell the truth about her. Even Edward Enninful, the Vogue editor who worked with her on that September 2019 issue. He got the Meghan treatment. After their successful collaboration, she came back wanting a cover story with complete control of the content. When he refused, there was a huge argument and he was done with her.
He was asked, and in full, whether he would feature Meghan in his new magazine, and he apparently paused before replying, "Meghan and I had a great moment with the issue we did, but I feel like I have done it, and I wouldn't necessarily repeat myself."
Translation: never again. The hypocrisy is staggering. She promotes herself as this great feminist philosopher, but then wants us to believe that she's just a traditional mom making breakfast for her children. She tells that fabricated soap commercial story about fighting exism at age 11, then spends her Netflix show in someone else's kitchen cooking. You can't be both, Bauer pointed out. The contradictions are destroying her credibility. But let's rewind to the exact moment Harry chose Meghan over everyone who had ever cared about him, because this story is going to make you boil. It was 2017 at Sandringham, during what should have been a casual shooting weekend with Harry's closest friends, the guys who had known him since childhood. These weren't random acquaintances. These were his inner circle, the people who had stood by him through every scandal, every heartbreak, every royal crisis. But Meghan showed up and decided to lecture these aristocrats about their values. We're talking about grown men who were looking forward to a relaxing weekend of shooting and drinking. And this American actress starts reprimanding them about exism and feminism like she's their mother. Harry must be nuts. That's what his friends were texting each other by the end of that weekend. They called her a real dampener and the fun police because she wouldn't let them have one conversation without turning it into a social justice lecture. But here's the devastating part. None of those men who had been Harry's loyal friends for decades were invited to the dinner after his wedding. None of them. Meghan made Harry choose, and he chose her over friendships that had lasted his entire life.
I mean, that was the crunch, that she separated him from his hinterland. And of course, he does suffer now enormously by not having a large number of the friends he had in London, in fact.
That's the polite way of saying she's isolated him from everyone who could have warned him what she was really like. And it gets worse. She told Harry he had to stop shooting entirely. Now, for Americans who don't understand, shooting isn't just about the birds. It's all part of the social fabric of the country life in Britain. It's how relationships are built, how business gets done, how friendships are maintained. By cutting Harry off from shooting, she cut him off from generations of British tradition and social connections. His friends in England are in despair, and many of them won't speak to him. The hypocrisy is staggering. She judges these people for their class and lifestyle, while simultaneously using her Duchess title on Disney infomercials. She betrayed all those people who tried very hard from the best of intentions to make her feel welcome. But she was never planning to stay. She just came to take what she needed and leave. So where does this train wreck go from here? Because Tom Bauer just dropped the ultimate nuke that's going to send Harry and Meghan into complete meltdown mode. Bauer's writing a new book about them, set to drop in early 2026. And this time, he's got inside access to what really goes on behind the doors of that Montecito mansion. An eyewitness account of what it's like inside. We're talking about the real Meghan, how she copes with bad reviews, what happens when things go wrong, how they actually live day to day. Meanwhile, Harry's reportedly working on a Diana documentary. But as Bauer brutally pointed out, it would be totally inaccurate because Harry barely knew his mother and believes that she was emmed by paparazzi instead of understanding she was actually a master media manipulator herself.
By the paparazzi, which is ridiculous. She died because she was in a speeding car with a drunken driver, not wearing a safety belt. But also, he doesn't realize that she wasn't murdered by the media.
The royal family knows what's coming. That's why they're scrubbing the website now, removing all traces of the lies before the bigger scandals drop. They're doing damage control for revelations that could destroy what's left of the Sussex brand. The question everyone's asking, will she dump him? Bauer admitted that's what everyone wants to see. How that's going to work out. The beginning of the end is here, and it's going to be brutal.